So Nick, for someone who has just found their first dream home and now they're actually starting the process to go through applying for the mortgage and thinking about buying, what are some common mistakes or some pitfalls that you see for individuals, looking to buy their first house?
Yeah, it's a complicated development buying a first house, right? There's a lot of things that go into the sale, the closing, getting the inspection. Maybe you have repairs that might pop up, deciding how much to put down on your down payment on the mortgage. So there's a lot of things that go into it and a lot of things to think about. And a lot of people are going into this blind, right? They don't really know how the process works or what to do. So we see a lot of kind of mistakes or issues surrounding the mortgage, right? Deciding which loan to get when it comes to paying back your mortgage, right? So you have different options there. You have your fixed rate or your adjustable rate. Do you see some problems with the loan type when people go ahead and decide on that?
Yeah, I definitely noticed, Nick, when especially for younger folks that haven't really traversed the mortgage landscape at all, and even for experienced home buyers too, right? Because how often do you buy a home in your
Right.
lifetime, right? Maybe 2 or 3 times tops for most folks.
Yeah.
Obviously, with some exceptions here and there. But I think when you're trying to figure out do I do the fixed rate loan? Do I do the variable rate loan? Right. I think most people tend to gravitate towards the fixed rate loan, but with interest rates creeping up, and I know they're starting to creep down a little bit, but they've really jumped a lot over the last couple of years. We're on the tail end of 2025 now, and some financial institutions have marketed to folks, say, hey, consider maybe an ARM, right? Or they maybe said get an ARM a few years ago. And an ARM stands for adjustable rate mortgage. And I think this is where it can cause some confusion with folks, because the most popular ARMs out there are probably the 7-1 ARM, which all that means is you get a 7-year fixed rate. And then after the 7 years, it's a 30-year loan total. But after the 7 years, then every year the rate can change. So if you maybe got an ARM back in 2021 or 2020 when rates were really low, right? And someone said, hey, look, I can get you a 7-year ARM for the first 7 years at 2%. And now rates are 6.5%. Well, someone's mortgage payment that might be originally 2% all of a sudden jumps to 6.5%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big additional expense that can really come as a surprise. And I think this is where, if you are considering an ARM over a fixed rate, just really know the risks associated with it, because if it jumps up, right, it's a big financial surprise, and that can catch a lot of home buyers, but really with the shock, you're like, oh my God, my payment went from $2,000 a month to maybe $3,800 a month just overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, and that feeds into another common mistake that we see and we hope people avoid is becoming house poor with the payments, right? Because like you said, with an ARM, your payments could jump up, and then that really stresses your cash flow on your income and your expenses. But even if you just go with a fixed rate mortgage, you want to make sure that you're able to afford that with your income coming in.
Sure.
I mean, for us as advisors, we like to look at 28% as really the number to look out for in terms of how much your home costs compared to your gross income coming in.
Right, and I know that's the rule. That's the PITI rule,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
Principal,
PITI.
interest, taxes, and insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good rule of thumb to live by, Nick. I totally agree. I think I've even seen where on the flip side, where it's common for first-time home buyers to take advantage of being able to put down less than the standard 20%. I think most people are familiar with that, right? But anything less than 20, the mortgage companies will more often than not tack on PMI, right? Private mortgage insurance, which for some folks is fine. It's just an added payment. And I think where sometimes mortgage or homeowners that have this type of mortgage with the PMI built in, sometimes they forget about it. And mortgage companies, they are supposed to reassess when you hit that 20%, equity. That PMI is supposed to fall off. Yeah. But it's not really their primary function to stay on top of that, especially when housing prices appreciate rapidly. We've seen like a huge appreciation of house prices over the last few years. So folks that maybe we're anticipating their equity to grow maybe 4% a year. It might have been 8% a year. So staying on top of where your actual equity is in the house relative to that 20% of the loan can help you get rid of your PMI faster.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's often overlooked by a lot of first-time home buyers because again, you're selling into the house and you're not thinking of it, right? The mortgage payment, because it's especially on the fixed loans, it just becomes like automatic and it's set it and forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, not only do you have your mortgage payments you have to look out for and when you're buying a home, but these surprises that come along the way that come with home buying, the basement floods or you need a new roof. A mistake to avoid is just not having enough saved up in an emergency fund for those surprises along the way. So the cost of home buying is it's a big cost, and there are things to be on the lookout for as you prepare for buying a home. But some other mistakes that I wanted to touch upon and just talk about is not looking into some of the programs that are out there for first-time home buyers. Right?
Sure.
There are a lot of associations that will help with loan payments. The VA, USDA, FHA, they all have programs that can help if you're looking to purchase a home. And then first-time home buyers also have state programs that might be able to help with that as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Nick. I know there's a lot of like we live in New Jersey. I know New Jersey specifically has the Anchor program stands out in my mind as like one of the most popular ones that homeowners take advantage of. And all you have to do is either rent or own a house, right? And if you own a house, I think if you're below $250,000 of income, then you're eligible to receive, some tax benefits, and you just go on and apply online. The state cross-references your last year's return, and then if you're eligible, they'll literally just electronically deposit money back into your checking account. So it's definitely pretty cool. I know a lot of other states have programs similar to this. I know New York has programs. I know other states like Tennessee and Florida have all sorts of different benefits as well. Probably more so for seniors since they tend to have the old folks like to go where it's warm, right? But it is good to know, like you said, Nick, while the federal programs exist, oftentimes the state programs are just as good, if not even more valuable, because you're going to get a literal financial benefit for just owning the house in that particular state.
Yeah, it's a good point. Just on the topic of other mistakes to avoid, I did want to bring up a lot of people don't get pre-approved before looking for houses or buying houses. This could really hinder your ability to get the house that you're looking at and you're viewing, and you might be in a competition with other buyers. If you're not pre-approved for your loan, that might slow up the whole process, and the seller wants to sell, at the highest price, but a lot of times on a timely basis too. Some people want to sell as quick as possible. So if you have all your ducks in a row before you find that house, it goes a long way. Right?
Yeah, totally agree, Nick. Being pre-approved helps just give folks like a sense of where they're at financially, which helps them. It can help them narrow their search too, right? Because it says, okay, these are the types of the houses that are within my budget and are affordable. Right. And then, as you said, right, if someone can't close by a particular time, oftentimes within contracts between a buyer and seller, there is a hard closing date. And if you don't meet that closing date, then the seller does have the right to walk away from the deal. Yeah. Right. They might really. And again, if maybe you're a day or two behind because X, Y, and Z happens, I think more often than not, a seller will say, all right, fine, but they absolutely are within their legal right to walk away from the deal if they really feel like it's to their benefit to do so. So yeah, I totally agree. Even thinking, just going back to Nick, to your repairs, I think a lot of first-time home buyers too want to make it like the house of their dreams right away, where typically it is your first house, right? So a lot of first-time home buyers, while money is saved up and, they're going to plan for some repairs, they might also plan to do extra work on the house where sometimes it may not make sense, right? Maybe fixing up a basement, and you ask yourself, are you going to sell this house in the next 5 years? Fixing up the basement is not going to add a lot of value, right? You get to enjoy it, but for resale purposes, are you really going to capture a lot of value back when you go to sell? So I think that's just another mistake. Again, home buying is exciting, and it's a dream that so many people have. And when you can finally accomplish your dream, it's amazing. But making smart decisions along the way is really important.
Yeah, it's important to really do your research and look into some of these things that can really hinder your ability to buy or afford a home. So just do your research and be flexible when it comes to searching for a house, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Just do your research, talk to the professionals in your life if you have them,
Yeah.
and just get good advice to help you make good decisions when owning a home.
Awesome. Well, it was good talking to you today, Ben.
You too, Nick.